I think I saw a direwolf today.
Can you imagine? I'm like, I like my dog, but a direwolf?
I think I saw one, and it might have just been a white dog, but I'm pretty sure it was a direwolf.
But it was a big white
It
dog,
was a big
right?
white dog, so I'm like, that's a direwolf, right?
Well, in the vein of Jurassic Park, what could go wrong?
I have to ask that. Oh, hold on a second. Hello, and welcome to another edition of All the Best Words. My name is Matt Murphy, and I say all the best words.
My name's Cameron Smith. I write all the best
And
words.
together, this is All the Best Words.
I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
Has anybody stopped to consider why they went extinct? I mean, I know these are not all the best words. We have other words to get into.
Right.
But I have to ask you the question, Cameron, since we were talking about it when we came on. Do you know why direwolves became extinct?
I have no idea.
They ran out of their food source, according to people a lot smarter than me that I have looked up on the Google machine.
Right.
They say that they ran out of their food source. They also say that their food source consisted of camels, horses, large mammals, right?
That's
Sloths.
Awesome.
All right, so let's imagine a large herd of direwolves roaming the American Southwest, for example. What do you think their mammalian food source might become? I'm just throwing it out there. There's a wild opportunity for a food source for them. Anyway, just a thought that maybe you ought to just leave.
I'm going to leave it.
Maybe just leave well enough alone.
We got to get to the words, man.
Oh, we do. We have to get to the words. You want me to go first? I'll go first.
Go for it.
My word today is PANICAN. Oh, it sounds like a made-up word, friends, but it's not. That is because Donald Trump made it up. So it's now official. Donald Trump, on one of his Truth Social tweets regarding the American economy and the worldwide economy, encouraged all of us not to become a PANICAN. A PANICAN would be someone that allows their emotional response to what's going on in our world economy to overtake them to the point that they freak out about it.
Sure.
And we don't want to become a political PANICAN. So this is obviously a lot to do with tariffs.
Sure.
A lot to do with Donald Trump's play. And I don't pretend that this is not a gamble. I'm not naive enough to not believe that there is risk involved in what Donald Trump's doing. I think anybody that tells you that there's not a calculated risk here, I don't think they're really examining the situation.
It's fair.
I also don't believe that this is necessarily automatically going to lead to disaster. I think that there is a calculation that Donald Trump is making that he believes that he can reset trade balance and he can reset tariff balance around the globe to benefit the United States of America. His primary goal is to benefit the U.S., not the rest of the world. He believes that the world has taken advantage of the United States of America. I think some of what he says is a little bit of a bluster, that he wants Americans to be proud of American-made products.
Sure.
He wants to bring some manufacturing back. There's a lot of things that are going on. But considering how the stock market has reacted to it, there have been a lot of panicans that are saying everything needs to stop right now, and we need to go back to where we were a month ago.
Sure.
Because this is clearly not working. I do think that we give it an opportunity to play out. I think a lot of these tariff situations will work themselves out. I think the stock market will work itself out. And, those that are harmed by this, I would suggest, are going to be harmed in the short term. And I don't deny that there are some people that means a lot. I mean, retirees,
Sure.
obviously, or those that are about to retire. But I think we need to calm down. Trump also said, be cool. Let's be cool.
Be cool.
And calm down. And while he recognizes that the road is going to be rocky for a hot minute, he tells us that in the next 6 months or so, it's going to smooth out. PANICAN.
Yeah. As long as it smooths out, I agree with your assessment. The challenge is that retirees who are living off of their portfolios vote in droves. And so if we see let's call it what it is. We had 2-3 days that were rough in the stock market, but then we see a rebound, right? If that's short term, I think people will say, okay, look, this happens. Markets go up and down. The market was a little hot. It needed to deflate. Now, look, we're back on track. What we're really seeing is people exiting the marketplace because of uncertainty. Like the Republicans have gone after Democrats for a long time of, well, look at your environmental policies. They're creating uncertainty in the marketplace, uncertainty in the marketplace. Trump's tariffs created uncertainty in the marketplace because they were so significant and we hadn't had experience with them in a long time. And folks said, well, let's retreat. Let's kind of see what happens. Everybody did it at the same time. That's what happens. That's what drops the markets and creates all this financial unrest. If Trump is saying this is a tactic to open trade, to get those trade barriers down on the other end of the line, we have relatively low trade barriers or had them in the United States. That wasn't reciprocated. And in some areas, we have some real problems. If he uses it to knock those down, it's going to be a massive boom for the American economy, and it's going to be huge. If, as I think some folks have suggested, this is a revenue gambit, we're going to try to use this to replace income taxes or something like that, I don't see that happening, because if it's a temporary tactical tool, that's one thing. If it's a long-term revenue source, it can't be both.
Well, right, because if it is a long-term revenue source, I mean, ultimately, who's paying that? We are, right? I mean, you could argue that, we'll get paid back through other nations. Deal with the Chinas of the world individually in their own way. That's my hope. Whether that is a reality or not remains to be seen. Cameron Smith, your word, sir.
I'm going to call it an audible again.
Wow.
And I'm going with leather. Get excited. So the reason I'm picking leather is because I didn't realize that when we talked about apparel and leathers and allied goods, that almost 90% of that stuff, of what we wear, we import, right? We get this from other areas. And then I sort of got curious and I started digging.
Leather?
Leather. I know, right? I assumed, based on all of our cattle, that leather was intensely domestic. Apparently I was wrong. Apparently we just eat the cows. The challenge here is it's really consumer electronics, those type of things, apparel. We actually make a lot of stuff in the United States. We consume a lot of what we make. About 52% of what we make, we consume. And so that's made in America. And when you take the pieces that are assembled here, like a foreign car that's assembled here and made in the USA, it's about 63%. So we shouldn't dog our existing manufacturing, but we should look at the areas where it's really out of alignment, like apparel, where if we started tomorrow, as you mentioned, and said, we want to get this back, it'd take us a while to get there. And let's be honest, we don't want to see everyone running around naked. So figuring out, well, okay, why are we so dependent on that? Is that something where there's an opportunity?
Maybe some people.
Some people, but
not you.
Not me.
Not me.
Not you. Yeah.
Anyway.
There may be some actual market opportunities, even as we drop trade barriers, to say, you know what? We should actually be more competitive in this space. How can we build? How can we invest in those industries so that you and I have a TV that may be made in America and may be better than something that we get from another country?
I am fascinated and cannot get off the idea that we have. I think our cattle industry, maybe Brazil. Maybe there's a country that I'm not thinking of. I don't think India has a cattle production, do they? Well, one way or the other. I don't think they do. One way or the other, I think our cattle industry is top 3 in the world. And it surprises. What do we do with all the hides? Do we just grind them up and feed them to?
Nobody knows.
I mean, or maybe we sell them raw materials to someone else who then converts them to the leather, and then we import them back in. One way or the other, it's a surprising statistic. It's also surprising that you said over half, 52%, of American consumption comes from the United States of America. I assume there's a lot of food.
There is food,
involved in
tobacco
that.
products, heavily domestic.
Right, sure. But, there's nothing wrong with trying to draw those other products back into the United States
Sure.
of America. But there's also nothing wrong with being good trading partners either, right? And seeing how we can make those trade agreements a little more fair, equitable, concerning, what Trump's trying to do with the tariffs things. But, I maybe I'm wrong, but I see a desire to build back a middle class. And perhaps this is the wrong way to look at it, where you look back at the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. You look at the auto industry, for example,
Sure.
Which has in so many ways gone away. Not completely, but it's gone away, at least in that vision that we had about it. That if you went to work, you worked hard, you got on the assembly line, you worked your way up, maybe you became a shift manager or supervisor, then you could build a family and live comfortably in a middle or upper middle class
Right.
setting in the United States of America. I think there's a sense, whether it's true or not, that that's gone, and we want to return back to that. And I think maybe both of those things are simultaneously true, that there's some of that that's happening, but there's probably more of it going on than we're aware of.
Yeah, and I don't think that we should tell displaced workers, well, suck it up and learn to code. That's
Right.
not what you tell somebody that's job has been, the coal industry is a good example. There are market forces at play that are taking that industry away because natural gas, combined cycle generators are cheaper, nuclear's cheap. Like, we have other options that the market's choosing. And I think that's where we have to be real careful is if there's a competitive advantage that's created by a foreign government manipulating currency or doing something that gives their industries an unfair comparative advantage, it might even be tariffs on their end of the line, then it's okay to look at that and say, yeah, we should combat that. If it's they've learned how to manufacture stuff efficiently, they have a lower cost of living than us, so they have certain competitive advantage that are natural to the marketplace, I'm a free market guy, and I think markets have to function.
But I want those standards to be somewhat equitable. I think it gets squirrely when you're dealing with nations that are utilizing child labor or
Sure.
So I know it doesn't happen as much. I mean, you and I talked a little while ago about there's probably not as many sweatshops as we think, but they still exist.
Sure.
And so you want to make sure that you try to kind of eliminate those sorts of things. And by the way, one final thought on this: did anybody else see Donald Trump last week say that he loves the miners? And I know that I become 13. I love the miners. They're so good. I love them. And I'm like, I don't think you should say that way.
Well, at least we have all the best words.
We do have all the best words. This has been All the Best Words. Like and subscribe. Give us those big thumbs up. We appreciate you. We'll be back next time.